Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. My name is Robin Fritz. I am thrilled to be here today with you. Today I have a really important subject I want to talk about, and that is saying no to cancer. I know it's a tough subject. I'm telling a personal story. It's kind of involved, but I know that it will help some people out there, and I'm sorry I didn't think to tell it sooner. So today, please join me as we talk about how to say no to cancer. Because this is an involved subject, I'm not taking any requests for personal readings today. You are most welcome to call me at my radio show this afternoon, omtimes.com radio, and ask for a reading. The phone number is 202-570-7057. But today, I want to talk about how we say no to cancer, and I want to tell you why I'm talking about this is because a few weeks ago I did a Facebook Live on how to make sure we say goodbye to our dead, and someone on Facebook typed in a message, say goodbye to cancer, and I thought, perfect, awesome, and in fact, I know something about that personally, so I would like to share this with the community because I know we're all a community connected by mind, body, and spirit. So hang in there. We're going to talk about that. We are going to do a meditation with the Crystal Fallon to get us grounded and balanced in the space. And at the end, I want to give you two crystals that will help you through any kind of a crisis that comes up for you. So as we get started on that, this is Fallon, the citrine Lemurian quartz, a rare power crystal, a healer and a truth bringer. And as you focus on Fallon in this quick meditation, as we get grounded and balanced together, mind, body, and spirit, I want you to think about how you respond to adversity, because that's what we're talking about today. So if you take your attention to the top of your head, just take a deep breath and know that mind, body, and spirit can come together in this time together with each other. So starting at the top of your head, you're going to breathe down your body and clear out any blockages, anything getting in the way of you being your best self rapidly, because we like things to happen really fast. So starting at the top of your head, breathe down your face, your shoulders, your chest, your hips, your knees, and your feet. The top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And just feel the blocks going away, the cares and the business of the day, so that this is your time to be with this amazing community. And now as you breathe up from the bottom of your feet, imagine Fallon as this gold healing light, just filling you up with healthy, positive energy and helping you to connect to your own best self here in this time together with us. So breathing up from your feet, past your knees, your hips, your chest, your shoulders, your face, and the top of your head, your crown chakra. It's always good to have that connection to this amazing crystal who lives with us at our house. So as we get into the subject today, let me give you a little background. I'm speaking straight from the heart and something that happened a long time ago, and the subject is saying no to cancer. So first, some background. I worked professionally as an intuitive and spiritual consultant for the past 10 years. I offer personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, so connecting to your dead humans or animals, past life regression, between life regression, soul clearing, energy healing, spiritual journeys, and so on. But one of the things that I do, no one's ever paid me for, and not very many people do it. And that is, I work with the planet. And that's what I came into my body to do in this lifetime. And there aren't any books on how to do that, at least not the way that I do it, which is why, thank you for joining me today. It's just why I do the work that I do. It's beyond ecology, beyond environmentalism, beyond shamanism, witchcraft, and any other spiritual. Mary, thank you for that. Spiritual situation out there. And when I work with the planet, all of my intuitive abilities come in: seeing, feeling, hearing, and knowing. But I do talk a lot with things. So I have conversations with things. And as a result of that, I created a mindset that I call planetary connection. Now, all I created was the name planetary connection. The mindset itself was taught to me by the non-humans that I work with. And that mindset shows that we actually live in a world far different than we humans imagine, because we are not at the top of the food chain. Instead, all life is equal. So everything, our homes, our businesses, our animals, the trees around us, our sidewalks, our crystal partners, everything you see in my office here around me, everything is alive. Everything has a soul, has consciousness, has a job to do, a responsibility to do that. And trust me, if you haven't figured this out already, everything has an opinion. So when I work with things, this is how I came to this mindset, by working with other non-humans, specifically Mount St. Helens here in Washington State. So some personal information to go along with that. I have a history, okay, for those in the audience who are a little squeamish, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I have a history with lumps in my breast. And at one point, I had a very rare sarcoma that was found by a radiologist that I came. Hello, thank you for joining me today. I became very close with this radiologist because when you start having problems like that, you're in and out of the doctor's office on a regular basis, making sure that you don't have breast cancer. So he came to know me very well. And he said on a number of occasions how he respected not just my integrity, but the work that I did, even though he didn't really know what it was that I did. So there's two things. One, the work that I do with the planet and this history of breast tumors, and one that was right on the edge of becoming cancerous, a rare sarcoma. So here's the other thing. When I sit down to do my work, I realized, working with the planet, that I really needed the support of other beings out there. And because I was working with the planet, and a lot of non-humans, I invited non-humans to work with me. So one day I created a specific request. I said, all beings who would like to support me in my work, please show up. Okay? All beings who would like to support me in my work, please show up. Which proves I had no idea about what I was doing, as became obvious. So in 2007, I decided I wanted to learn where energy came from. So I decided to formally study Reiki, because I knew a person who was a Reiki master, and I trusted her, and she was okay with me and what people at the time were calling the weird things that I do. So I did Reiki 1 and 2 with her. And if those of you are familiar with that, those are two separate modalities of learning Reiki. So on a Monday, I completed the Reiki 2 the week before. On a Monday, I had my annual mammogram. And I went in, and my radiologist found evidence of invasive breast cancer. And the protocol was to do a complicated imaging where they would take a really in-depth picture, a photograph, but a very involved photograph, not an MRI. And while holding me immobile, would then use a needle to try to get to that thing that they saw so they could pull it out, biopsy it, and decide if it really was invasive breast cancer or not. That was a Monday. The test was scheduled for Wednesday. So my first thought was crap. And my second thought was, time to do Reiki level 3. So I called my teacher. She said, well, it's kind of soon. And I said, here's the situation. She consulted her spiritual team. They said, yes. So Monday night of the same day that I was diagnosed with potential invasive breast cancer, we did Reiki level 3. And I started doing energy healing. And of course, my friends who were healers, they were doing it too. And I also did one more thing. Two more things. I decided to have a conversation with whatever it was that was living in my breast. And here's why you have to be careful what you ask for, okay? Because the thing in my breast was cancer. It identified itself as such. It was very clear about what it was. It also begged for its life. It did not want me to kill it. It wanted to live with me. And I'm like, what? Why would you want to do that? because I had asked all beings who would like to support me in my work, please show up. It did not ever occur to me that one of the beings who would want to support me would be Cancer. So I was just dumbfounded, as I'm sure you are listening to the story. I was like, oh my God, no, what was I thinking? Needed to learn to be more specific, but it would never occur to me. Well, there was the further part of the conversation was Cancer explained to me what it was. And it showed me 300 years in the future where Cancer and human would be symbiotic. And symbiotic meaning that Cancer and human could live together. And because they lived together and each had a contribution, that both would become more than they were by themselves. So that 300 years in the future, we would turn to each other and go, oh, I have Cancer. And there would be great accomplishments that we would make. Literary, scientific, how to get along with each other, ecology, everything. All because Cancer and human were symbiotic. But 300 years in the future. So I explained to the Cancer that was alive and starting to be active in my breast that was 300 years from now. And right now, Cancer and human were not symbiotic, and I would be very ill and possibly die and not be able to do my work if it remained. And I explained that it could not live with me. And the Cancer begged and pleaded for its life, and I said, no, you cannot live. So here's the situation. I had a life form, an alien life form, if you will, that wanted to live with me and couldn't because I would die. And I felt bad because it had answered my call for help. And I was simply, not aware that that kind of thing could happen. And so we were in a tough situation. But I told it it could not live, and I told it it had to die. And that was just the way it was right now. And that maybe in 300 years, if I came back around again, maybe again in 300 years, we could join up, but not now. I also did one more thing, and I want you to pay attention to this because this is really important. I created a mantra that's based on what I understood about the Cancer. Now, Cancer now eats us. We're basically its food, right? And I learned a lesson from this Cancer in being careful what I asked for, right? Careful who I asked for to support me in my work. So there were a couple things. I'm not food, and I learned the lesson. So the mantra I created was, I am not food. You may not eat me. Thank you for the lesson. It's time for you to go. And I repeated that over and over and over again, along with the energy healing for 2 straight days. I am not food. You may not eat me. Thank you for the lesson. It's time for you to go. Okay? So Wednesday comes. We're in the radiologist's office, and oh my God, that was so painful and so uncomfortable, just climbing up into this gigantic photograph machine. I don't know what it was. It's not an MRI, or it was just some kind of fancy camera, immobilizing you and then trying to get a picture of it so that they could then get a biopsy. And doctor after doctor and technician after technician came in, and after a half an hour, they gave up. And my radiologist is helping me up off the table and wrapping a blanket around me. And he looked at me straight in the eye, and he said, Robin, this has never happened before. This Cancer was there on Monday. Whatever it was there on Monday, and it is not there now. Robin, what did you do? And I'm looking at him like, oh my gosh, really? This had never happened before. And the whole room went silent. There must have been 10 people in that room, all medical professionals, and they're all shaking their head because they could not find it. And he knew what I did. And I told him the mantra. I said, well, I did energy healing for 2 straight days, and I had a mantra that I created. And I said, I am not food. You may not eat me. Thank you for the lesson. It's time for you to go. And he got tears in his eyes. And he said, that's really powerful. He said, and I'm going to share that with my patients. And I said, please do. Okay. So they all left and I got dressed. And as I left, he and all of his team came out into the hallway. And he said, please tell me again what it was that you said. And I said, I am not food. You may not eat me. Thank you for the lesson. It's time for you to go. And he said, I am going to share that with all of my patients. And I'm sure that he did. So a year later, or thereabouts, we did a follow-up mammogram. And right after the mammogram was over, all of the equipment in the office went down. And I'm sitting there like, wow, that's really weird. And so we waited a half an hour because they thought, well, maybe they'd have to redo everyone's mammogram. Yes, Mary, but be very careful about what you want, right? And this was over 10 years ago, and I wasn't this. Hopefully I'm smarter now. But in that half an hour while we waited for the mammograms to come up and make sure we didn't have to go back and do them over again, everyone's came up but mine. But they were assured that mine was still in the system and would come up. So I asked my spiritual team, what is going on here? And they laughed and they said, don't worry about it. You know, that thing in you was still there, still showing up, but it was just an image, just a shadow. It's not there. And so we took the equipment down to erase it. And when it comes back up, you'll be clean. Don't worry about it. And that's exactly what happened. So that's kind of a funny aside to that story. But here's the thing. And this is why I wanted to share this story with you. Things do not happen for a reason. I don't believe that, and I don't believe anyone else should. But things do happen, right? We can't necessarily stop everything that comes at us, from car accidents to cancer, but we can take charge and try to do something about it. And here's why you should try when something devastating happens to you. Take a look at what you asked for, because that's what happened to me. I asked for all beings that would support me in my work to step forward. It never occurred to me to think of cancer as a being or cancer wanting to support me. And yet it did. And maybe that's why it does come to some people trying to support us. But it's not working right now, right? So like me, who may have accidentally asked for something you didn't really want, right? So take it back. So if something like cancer shows up, have a conversation with it, or however your intuition works. Feel energy, hear it talk, see pictures, or simply know it's there. Find out what it's there for, what it wants, and what you want. And then be very clear about what you want. And for goodness sakes, listen to your medical team. Do what makes sense. Carol, thank you for that. Do what makes sense. I mean, my gosh, we live in a time where we have the most advanced medical knowledge that we've had in eons. And I can tell you about that another time too. But it's been eons since we've had the level of medical care that we have now. Don't turn your back on your medical team. Bring your medical team into the picture. This doctor knew who I was and what I did, and that was over 10 years ago. He supported me, and he had no answers for why that cancer was gone when they'd seen it on Monday. And, you know, maybe it was never there in the first place. But I know from talking to it what happened. So listen to your medical team. Please do not assume that good intentions, energy healing, or anything else will cure you by itself. The world has, again, never seen the level of medical care we have now, so make it part of what you're looking at. But also create your own energy healing plan and your own mantra to support you in what you want, and keep it up. The truth is, the world is more mysterious than we know, right? And we are all more powerful than we know. So if whatever you're facing still defeats you, because at some point we all will die, if you are sick or you're dying or you've had an accident or you're somehow waylaid by illness or disability, as I have been for many years, or if you lose your job or whatever, know this: it was not meant to be. You must learn to deal with it and learn to love yourself. Start with loving yourself. And that was a lesson I had to learn too over the years. So learn to love yourself, because self-love is really the most important thing there is out there. And I know this as a medium, it's the most important thing for the dead too. So learn to love yourself and to move on from there. If this mantra helps you, use it. If it helps you create one for yourself, awesome. That's what I'm there for. So I'd like to give you 2 crystals this week that I know can help you through any adversity. And the first one is columbite. Now, I've introduced this before. I know it's hard to see things on video. Columbite is an ore similar to tektite or tantalite. But this particular piece I've had for over 10 years. I find it to be the most powerful grounding and protection crystal out there. So it's really good if you're upset to hold a piece of columbite and help it get you grounded and balanced. I use it with all of my clients for all of my sessions to help them get grounded and balanced in the session and to close out at the end of the session, and also to help them learn how their intuition works so that they can, really take charge and really grow in their own decision making and in their role in the world. So columbite also helps with decision making and helps you see both sides of an issue and gives you insight into the issue. The other is rose quartz. Rose quartz is really a crystal for self-love, which is extremely important when you're going through a crisis of any kind, but really on a daily basis, right? Who doesn't need to love themselves more, right? Always we need to love ourselves more. Rose quartz will help us find our way in the world and find our way to love. And together, those 2 crystals can help you through adversity. They will be your assistants. You can talk with them and invite them to help you heal. I now buy my crystals from Kim Valines at Earthlight Rocks and Gems. She's graciously sponsoring my radio show currently, but I bought from her for years. I don't know if she has columbite in her shop right now, but I know she has tantalite and tektite, and I know that she can help you with whatever you need. So check it out at earthlightgems.com. So that's my story today. I will go back through the comments here and make comments or respond to your comments. But I want to thank you for joining me today. And I want to thank the person who posted that on Facebook, Say Goodbye to Cancer, because it reminded me of the story that I haven't shared with a lot of people. And my goodness, it's been over 10 years. So I hope that whatever crisis you or a loved one is going through, that you can take something from my experience and apply it to yourself, because we're all a community together, right? And Om Times has created this community for all of us to be together and to support each other, mind, body, and spirit. So I hope this helps you. And again, let me tell you that, and thank you for sharing your mantras here. If you want to type in what mantras that you're using so that other people can adapt them for their use, awesome. That's what this community is for. So I'd like to tell you briefly, I have a webinar series starting tomorrow. It is developing strong energy boundaries. And as you can tell from the story, I really needed to learn about energy boundaries, and I did. And that's the biggest problem that most people have, is that we don't know where our energy begins and ends, and we don't know how to bolster it. We don't know that our energy body is actually alive. And I have specific ways of helping people look at their individual energy boundary and boost it up. Thank you. And so that webinar series starts tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time. The group is small because I'm working with each person individually. It's a 5-week series. We're going to drill down on what our particular energy body is, how to bolster it, how things affect us, how our intuition works individually, so we can learn how to work with it. And each person will have time with me each week. So the series is $100. I have one more discount ticket, so one more person can join at a discount. But please consider this, because I have worked with this professionally with professionals who needed to boost themselves up. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with daily life, if you're tired at the end of the day, if you feel uncomfortable in crowds, if you think you're an empath and you're too sensitive, or you have problems with sensitivity, or if you just really want to boost yourself up to be your best, please consider joining that webinar series. Thank you, Victoria, and thank all of you for being here with us today. And remember, things happen to us. Again, I do not believe things happen for a reason. If I did, throughout my life of illness and disability, I would be very depressed. But I do believe that we can try to make the best of what happens to us, as I have tried to do in my life, and I know so many people have. We are in it together, right? So if you appreciate these broadcasts, I would appreciate a couple things. One, that you like the Humanity Healing page, that you like here the Om Times Institute page and the Om Times Magazine page, that you share these videos with your loved ones or with friends on Facebook. Also, if you go to my business page, The Practical Intuitive Robin Fritz, I really appreciate likes on that page. You can also message me there if you'd like to work with me privately. I offer, again, personal and business intuition, looking at personal issues, looking at your business issues, whether you're a corporation or a solopreneur or whether you work for someone else. We can look at what your job situation is. You can talk with your beloved dead human or animal, talk with your animals. And I also do a soul clearing session, 1 hour or 3 hour past life regression sessions, spiritual awakening. That with you, how powerful you are and how powerful you can be as you learn to love yourself and to deal with adversity from a strong place. So as we close today, I want to close with this energy healing that I learned from a goddess. I laugh when I say that because I was like, you're a what again? So I'm still learning, right? We're all learning together. Hands on your heart and just breathe in healthy, positive energy. Breathe in the support of this amazing community of mind, body, and spirit experts, all of us together, this great community, nurturing and supporting each other all over the world. Breathe in that love. Breathe into the palms of your hands so you can feel your breath on your palms and imagine it as healthy, healing energy. And then bring it back to yourself. Heal yourself first. Breathe in that healthy energy. Get yourself grounded and balanced back into your body. It closes down that crown chakra that tends to be wide open with Fallon. And if you have questions on this broadcast or any of the broadcasts, please don't hesitate to bring them up. Again, I thank you for joining me today. Please join me in my webinar series tomorrow. You'll find it'll be worth it. And please join me on my radio show this afternoon. Kim Valines is joining me to talk about your life with crystals. 2 p.m. Pacific time, omtimes.com radio, the practical, intuitive, mind, body, spirit for the real world. Thank you for joining me today. Take care of yourself, and I'll respond to the comments as I get to it here in a few minutes. Thank you so much. Take care.